Hey everyone, so I just got back from our Sunday League Day, and let's talk about it. Um, I feel like this was the first League Day that everyone really was on set 5, because before you had people preparing for like the Toronto DLC, so some people were trying out their like set 4 decks. Um, but yeah, this was kind of like the first time where everyone felt like they were on the set 5 hype train, which was great. I brought a kind of unconventional deck this week. I brought Jafar Wheel back. I saw that it performed fairly well in a couple of tournaments the past week. And so I thought I would give it a try. As many of you probably know, I played it for the set 3 kind of like set champs. And that's how I won my Stitches. And I took it to Atlanta DLC with me as well because I just had so much fun with the Jafar Wheel. Um, yeah, so built it. Couple edits that I made to it for set 5 specifically was definitely the shift Archimedes, like the 5-drop, you can shift it for 3. That feels great. The fact that it's evasive really helps with like the Diablo, but the fact that he's a 5 cost helps with Singing a Whole New World as well. So I was super excited for these changes. Also having Pete in the deck, going against the discard, going against the Steel Songs, and just being able to play Pete. What I have found on turn 4 feels the best if you're on the play. So if I play Pete on my turn 4, going into their turn 4, it lets them kind of shut off their early game like spells for discarding me or spells for like ramping their side of the board. And then when they pass it back to my turn, it's turn 5. I hopefully have the Jafar and the Whole New World in my hand because they couldn't discard it from the Pete. So then I shift, I sing, bada bing, bada boom, right? So I felt kind of good going into it. I played against, so we played 3 rounds. So I played against Bounce. I played against, I should have wrote this down so I don't have to think on the spot. Bounce, Lemon Lime, Discard, and Ruby Pawps. I won one of my matches. They all went to, most of them went to 3 games, so I was able to get a game off of them. Against Bounce and Pops, my verdict is going to be the same, which is, dear God, I hate Ruby. So this was something I actually ran into at Atlanta in the side events when I was playing Jafar, was having the Sisus and having Ice Block in tandem with each other, or even Ice Block and Medusas, feels really bad. So the removal from Ruby is just so easy to just quickly like knock out my Jafars. Even with Archimedes, after you shift him, you can still knock him out with brawls, with anything, right? Like the targeted removal from Ruby is still so strong against your main Jafar package that you need. It feels rough, I'll be honest. I was somehow actually able to win against the Bounce. It got to the point where we were both like out of steam. You know, I got B-Prep twice, I got BKU'd. So essentially it came down to like top deckings. Luckily, Steel is a really good top deck deck, I guess. They can be put in a really good position to be top deck, which is nice. So I was able to squeak that out. I played against Lemon Lime Discard, and I felt that I had a pretty good. It was actually the first time I've ever played against Lemon Lime Discard. So I was trying to get my bearings just how to play against it in general. But my takeaway is that I wanted to have a bunch of like low cost characters. I wanted to empty my hand. I ran into the mistake against the first game. I Whole New World on curve. And the way that Lemon Lime Discard is headed now, they're discarding you to refill their hands off of Prince John. Every time your opponent discards, you can choose and draw a card. So when I Whole New Worlded, I put into their hand the gas that was able to discard my hand and for them to refuel it. So then going to game 2, I realized, okay, if I just don't have a hand, they can't discard it, which means they can't refill their hand. So I kept a bunch of like low cost creatures. I wanted to just empty my hand. It was working out fairly well until I forgot how to read. Um, and I have the 2-drop Jafar that gains evasive on my turn, specifically for Diablo. Didn't use it for Diablo. I was dumb. There was literally a point. I recorded all these matches, so I will be posting them to YouTube, but there's literally a point, if you could see my face, you could see a couple turns after I could have challenged the Diablo with it. I looked at the card, I read it, and I was just like, wow, like, dude, he has evasive. So for that game too, that was really like the turning point. Was even though my opponent couldn't discard my hand to then refuel his hand, he still had Diablo, which he was still getting the card advantage off of. Oh well, hindsight, right? But then afterwards, because we finished really early because I got swept, we were able to play a couple games like just for funsies, and I was really getting the hang of trying to play against the lemon lime discard package. So felt better about that. Went into my game 3, and I played against Ruby Pawps. I played against a friend. I guess they're all friends of mine, but someone I know really well. So I was going to the game expecting them to play one thing and mulliganed for it. They tricked me. They really didn't. They apparently told me, and I just forgot that they changed what they were playing. So yeah, I went to Ruby Pawps. Wow, I hate Ruby. Um, no offense to any Ruby players. Like, you can play that shit. That's great. I have a hard time playing Ruby's control version. I also have a hard time playing against it. That's okay. Um, so yeah, I just kind of got like ice blocked and Medusa, or you ice block in the Sisu's, or because you have blue fairies, you just snap. You have Jafar and ice block, you can just snatch out of play. I'll be honest too. The past week in my life has been fairly busy, so this felt like the first time in a while I got to actually sit down and play Lorcana. So I was forgetting my Ruby triggers. Like, I was forgetting to count the ink. Are you at B prep? I was forgetting the whole, like, what else they have in their arsenal. So at one point I was like, oh yeah, I'll play this because you don't have a Sisu to shift to, forgetting that Madame Medusa is a thing that is like targeted. So I had like 2 characters out. I'm like, okay, great. If you be King Undisputed, right? If you BKU me, I get to choose. That's why I put 2. No, they Medusa'd me with the ice block, and then they got to choose my Jafar, and I was like, can we just go to like game over? um, so I guess hindsight, it was a mix of I was forgetful about Ruby matchups, and just even though the Jafar wheel deck has upgrades for set 5, the things that made him worse for set 4 is still there. The targeted removal is just so strong against the Jafar characters that you need that it really does feel like a struggle. After the Ruby Pops game, we talked about it. Ruby Pops, actually Ruby in general, has always been a really challenging matchup, even for like set 3 Jafar wheel. So I wasn't really surprised at how it went. I was just hoping that I would have a better arsenal in my hand to be able to defend against it, but I don't think I do. So I'm not giving up, like, on the deck. I'm at the point now where I want to build and try a bunch of decks out, because I am going to Birmingham in less than a month. That's sneaking up really quickly. So I'm kind of just in the general gist of just trying everything. Insert the song "Try Everything" here. And then when I feel like I found something that A, clicks with me, because that's important, B can hold their own against what I believe is going to be heavily seen in the global meta. And something that is consistent. I think consistency, and even with the 2-game format, something that's a little bit on the quicker side. So I think I have another league night tomorrow. So I think I'm going to put together that Amber Amethyst aggro list I've been seeing, because it uses some of the Amber pieces from Steel Songs that I really love. Love the daisies so much. But it also can just like get in there, hit the ground running. I don't necessarily care what my opponent is up to. I just keep questing. Because the other thing I've noticed too is with the set 5 meta, there's a lot of different decks out there. There's a lot of different variations of decks, which I think is incredible. But in the previous metas, you've seen like the top 1, 2 to maybe 3 decks. You know what you're going to expect. Where I think right now, like, you don't know. And even if you're going against like a Ruby Popsicle deck, there's not like one list to rule them all. Like, people have their own variations, people have their own changes that they've made, which I really think it is great to have like a diverse meta. Okay, sorry everybody, my mics totally died because I didn't charge them beforehand. So what I was saying was that we have such a diverse meta and diversity of deck lists, so there's not just one Ruby Pops list or, what have you, which I really like that. I really like that people can actually have a bit more freedom, like creative freedom with how they build their decks, which also means you can tune it to your own playstyle. Anyway, so to kind of wrap this up, like I said, I did film all 3 of my matches, so I will be posting the longer version of that with some voiceover to YouTube. So look out for that. And I have another league tomorrow too. So from this league, though, Tyler went 3-0, which was amazing. So, and at the store that we went to, they were having a sale, so we were able to get 2 new foil legendaries that I didn't have. He got the Honey Wizard Lore Tracker. He is adorable. Got the Hades pin. Woohoo! I guess I could have taken it out of the bag. Which I will be able to add to my pin collection. Gorgeous. And the Alice deck box, which, look at her, just having a nice little teapot party. And we got league promos, so we will be adding those to the binder. And let me know how your guys' leagues are going, kind of what decks seem prominent. And stay tuned for the voiceover video for my games and for tomorrow's league. Thanks for watching.